Welcome to Networking Seriously Do It. The purpose of this screencast is to inspire you to try networking in your next job search. The learning outcome for this unit is that students will be able to craft their own networking script for use in their own networking activities. In my years working as a career counselor, people's eyes seem to either roll or gloss over when they bring up networking. Why? Because it's uncomfortable, especially for people without a sales-compatible type personality. And it does take a lot of time and strategy and energy. I get it. It certainly feels more immediately productive and definitely with less personal discomfort to simply conduct a job search online. But really, give networking a try. Yes, it takes getting outside your comfort zone, but so does PA school, and you're already thriving doing that. Networking really is the most efficient and effective way to find a job. Reflect on the positions you've held in your life. How many of those positions came at least in part because of connection or from help or referral of a friend? For most people, they have networked more than they've ever realized. Networking can be as simple as a friend saying, "Hey, I saw this job and thought of you," or "Our office is hiring, I think you should apply," or "I want you to apply for this position." In fact, I got this job through a similar, simple conversation with Tyler Summer when he came to present at my class at BYU. He mentioned they were looking for a director of clinical education, and I said, "Hey, I'll do that," and the rest is history. In a poll of the RMU PA faculty, 61% of their positions came as a result of networking. In my experience, I have observed this trend to be true for any population of people, that most people have benefited from relationships and connections as it relates to employment. So let's talk about why networking actually works. Think of a time when you were at a job and your organization had a new opening. Have you ever been involved in a conversation that goes something like this? "Hey everyone, Doug's leaving us next month. Does anyone know anyone who'd be good to fill this position?" Start talking to your friends. Career counselors always say that 80% of all jobs never make it to a formal job posting. Why? Well, that's because hiring managers usually know who they want to hire, or they use their own network to find someone. Most of the jobs that end up on sites like Indeed.com only end up there after the company can't find someone, or because the company policy requires a public announcement to ensure equity. In fact, at one of my jobs, when a colleague resigned, everyone got together and said, "Oh no, she just put in her notice. So who do we know that could do a good job? And we need to do this fast." I made a suggestion of a friend, and that person was interviewed and hired within the week. The job was posted on the company website, but the job was practically filled as soon as it got posted, which was really only posted out of formality. We never even considered any other people. In networking, you are attempting to tap into that hidden job market, the jobs that are coming up soon or open but haven't been publicly announced yet. Maybe they know someone is retiring soon, but they haven't had time to post the job yet. Maybe they don't know that they have a need until you ask about it and it prompts an idea. One of my colleagues told me about networking with a group that asked him, "How did you even know we were hiring?" Surely he didn't, but by asking about opportunities, he was the first and probably the only candidate they considered. Tapping into the hidden job market can dramatically decrease competition and increase your probability of success. As a career counselor, I worked with a student whose dream job was writing for the magazine Motor Trend. We worked together to reach the editor and inquired about internship opportunities. After he took his spring break to travel to California to meet them in person, they regretted that they didn't have any internship spots available to him. It just wasn't in their budget. We were both disappointed, thinking, well, at least we tried, until a year later when they asked for him to work with them upon his graduation. But this time not as an intern, but as an actual writer. It's highly likely that as your network grows and develops, you'll have opportunities fall into your lap later that you were never expecting. That's part of the beauty of networking. Have you ever had to select a candidate for a job, team, or maybe even an award? Have you ever had to do so based only on the documents they submitted to you? How does one really distinguish between a bunch of strangers who look often pretty similar on paper? Oh, look, this person just graduated from PA school, and so did this person, and that person did too. How do you decide? At some point, it becomes hard to think of the names on those papers representing actual, real people. Kind of reminds me of genealogy or family history. My family tree has so many names, but they just feel like that, anonymous, faceless names. But over the years, I have found a few stories of my ancestors, and it's a good reminder that each name actually belongs to an individual who had a life and feelings and family and talents and aspirations. And suddenly, those names aren't just words on a piece of paper anymore. Networking works because it adds an element of trust to the hiring process. It humanizes people. Instead of trying to choose a complete stranger out of a stack of papers, the hiring committee gets to see you as a real person. And an old adage, or a friend of Jennifer's is a friend of mine, holds really true in networking. If someone you know and trust can vouch for someone, it helps build confidence. Have you ever been part of a selection committee or chosen someone you thought would be amazing, only to later realize that person didn't live up to your expectations? It happens all the time. And that mistake can cost a company lots of money. I got an email recently from Rocky Mountain University saying, hey, if anyone refers someone for this job and they get hired, RMU will pay you cash, like $100. What does this say about how much Rocky Mountain values networking? Somehow, even just briefly meeting someone provides us with at least the illusion of trust with a stranger. If nothing else, you can tell if they were personable and easy to get along with. When my husband was a police officer in North Carolina, we wanted to move back to Utah. He applied for several law enforcement jobs in Utah and Salt Lake counties. Draper City was a place he applied for and didn't get selected. After we moved back to Utah, we took a trip, and while we were at the airport, we sat next to a man who happened to be the chief of police for the Draper Police Department. To pass the time, we started talking, and after our brief conversation, the police chief gave my husband his card and said to reach out if he ever needed a job. Remember, this is already a department my husband applied for and got rejected from. But now here was the police chief himself implying he would be happy to hire my husband in the future. Who you know really does matter, at least it makes a difference. We have all seen people gain a great advantage because they knew someone. They had the hookups. In his book, College Success, Networking from College to Career, Jaron Smith says, networking lets other people intervene on your behalf to help you find success. Pause and take a moment to reflect upon how people have helped you or intervened for you in the past. So how does one actually start the process? First, you'll need to brainstorm people you can and want to reach out to. We call these warm and cold contact. After you know who you want to contact, prepare yourself by developing a script. You don't have to read it word for word, but you do want to be concise and articulate about the help you need. Number one rule, though, is don't ever ask anyone if they know of any open jobs. The majority of people won't have any specific leads, and it's a conversation killer because the answer will just end up being, no, sorry, I can't help. Instead, ask for help. You want your script to be concise, and you don't want it to take too much time. I have a 4-step process that I recommend. Number 1, give a brief background. Some context for who you are, why you want your help. For example, do you know them? Do you have something in common? Are you about to graduate from PA school? What should they know about you? Then give them a brief summary of what you're looking for or the help that you're wanting. You should be specific enough that they can visualize how they can help you, but not so specific they won't know anyone. For example, I'm looking for an entry-level physician assistant job. I'm pretty open-minded, but I do have a special interest in cardiology and pulmonology. Versus something like I'm looking for a super rare job in a specialty no one even knows about is probably not going to get very many productive results. Again, you're not asking for a job. Instead, ask for help. My favorite approach is, do you know anyone who can help me? Likely almost anyone would be able to offer you a contact that can, at the very least, get you a step closer to the contact you need. For example, they might say, I don't know of a doctor, but my sister's a nurse. The next step is if they agree to help and offer you a referral, ask if it's appropriate to use their name when you reach out, or if they would be willing to make an introduction for you. Here you are hoping to capitalize on the whole idea of, well, a friend of Bob's is a friend of mine. I want you to pause for a moment. Take a second to draft your own networking script. Now ask away. Simply start contacting people. Try phone, in-person emails, informational interviews, conferences, introductions, Facebook, other social media, including LinkedIn. Take notes of who you've talked to, when, who they referred to you, and any other helpful information. Sometimes you may not find any leads that pan out immediately, but you can always follow up later. I do often get pushback on this with the comment of, but I don't want to bother anyone, and why would they want to help me? I get it. I've had some of the same reservations, but also think about yourself. Would you be bothered and angry if someone reached out to you in this way? For most people, the answer is definitely no. Most people genuinely enjoy helping others, and some people are even flattered to do so. If you're concerned about this, I definitely recommend the book, The 20-Minute Networking Meeting. It's a straightforward look about how to use only 20 minutes of someone's time to expand your network. It will walk you through the process, and again, who isn't willing to spare even just 20 minutes? And yes, if you think networking is only about asking people for favors, then you are likely right. No one will want to help you. Hopefully, you aren't only asking for favors when you try your hand at networking. Networking is about relationships, give and take. So, little notes to check in, thank you cards, holiday cards, congratulation notes on social media, maybe sending an article and an email that reminded you of them. Could be simple and easy tools to maintain relationships, just like you would do with any friend. Yes, networking can certainly feel contrived and awkward, but think about how you've made some of your dearest friends. What did you do? How did you show interest and reciprocate? Use that same approach because networking isn't adding 3,000 people to your LinkedIn or Facebook account, it's having relationships with others. And for those of you with a lot of free time on your hands, because I know you have a lot, this networking book is a fun read. It's the story of a young man who went on a quest to interview some of the world leaders in their industries. It shows the power of networking, and it's interesting to see the results of his attempts to get to know people that were originally strangers. In terms of networking, find your own style, what works for you. Personally, I get pretty uncomfortable meeting new professional contacts in person. I'm working on having more memorable interactions. But I have found the most powerful networking tool I have used is simply demonstrating my competency and dependability through my work. Thus, I gain the most valuable professional relationships through volunteering to help with projects or being on committees, and that's networking. I found even simple strategies can help. In some of my inquiries with potential clinical leads, I have sometimes asked questions about how someone ended up in Alaska or comments about knowing someone with that same name. And sometimes I send an occasional thank you card. And when I finally got around to meeting one of these people in person, she gave me 3 hugs and told everyone I was her best friend, all because of a small thank you card and a few questions showing interest in her life. I encourage you to start your networking approach, and good luck.